Welcome to Streams of Income, hosted by best-selling author and entrepreneur Dr. David Powers, where we discuss streams of income, passive income, residual income, and even why there are dinosaurs and zombies in this intro. Fasten your seatbelts and get ready to dive in.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Before you get into the show, I wanted to tell you a couple things. This is part of my new series where I've just been inviting people on the show to just do some live brainstorming. Some of them are way out there publicly, and I can give you links to everything to where they are. I get a few folks, though, that are actually still working jobs, and they don't necessarily want to leave those jobs, so they may not want their bosses to know what they're doing, that kind of thing, or give them an indication that they're leaving the job. And so some of these are kind of halfway anonymous, and so a good mix, though. And so I hope you enjoy these. They move a little bit slower. It's almost like a coaching session, and so it's not as high energy as some of the interviews I do with other entrepreneurs. So I say that, though, not to make you not want to watch it. But here's the thing. When you encounter one of these coffee conversations, these brainstorming episodes, I want you to get a piece of notepaper if you can. If you're driving while you listen to this, I understand. But if you're not driving, I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen. And I want you to take some notes, because one of the reasons I like doing this is because when I do these interviews, it makes me think of new ideas for my business. I mean, somebody might mention something crazy about elevators or construction or rabbits. And next thing you know, I'm running some ideas for things that I'm doing that aren't even related, because I love brainstorming cross-industry ideas, because I pick up so many new ideas from other industries that I'll pull into mine. And guess what? The competition in my industry isn't doing those things because they're not willing to look outside of the box for where they can get some new ideas. And so I want that for you as well. I want you to take some notes. And so this next one that you're going to hear is with a friend of mine from, we've actually been in a couple of like mastermind type groups together. We've got lots of mutual friends. One of those great friends that we've never met in person, but we know each other digitally pretty well. And, we end up becoming good friends that way. And so I hope you enjoy this. I hope you get some good notes. And if you have any ideas, any questions, any comments, anything like that, feel free to reach out. And as always, thank you for listening. All right, everybody, welcome to the Streams of Income podcast. And here with my guest, Chris. And this is going to be a fun one. A different kind of a theme that I've been trying to get into is not just interviewing entrepreneurs about, well, let me put it this way. I interview a lot of people that want to get on here and pitch their business. And what I wanted to get into a little more is some entrepreneurs that are just wanting to brainstorm and look at different ideas, look at different businesses. And so this is one of those coffee conversations. And so, Chris, do you have some coffee handy?
Right there.
Perfect. Tell us what you're drinking, man.
My old beat up cup.
The old beat up cup. I've got I got my best dad cup. And let's see, I've got some Honduran single origin coffee, and I mix it with mushroom coffee. And it's my own little blend, but it really buzzes me up in the afternoon. Not those kind of mushrooms, but the good kind of mushrooms.
That's a lot better than what I got. Mine's some Starbucks ground blend my wife buys. So.
Oh, that's not bad. My wife's actually on her way to get Starbucks, my free birthday drink right now. So
nice. Oh yeah, I've been seeing that. So happy birthday. So yeah.
Yeah, 50. How old are you? If it was, if you were, I wouldn't ask, but us dudes.
I'm right behind you. I'll be the same age here in September.
Okay, so we getting there. It's time to make some big changes, and everybody says at our age you're supposed to have everything figured out, but I think that was the generation before us. Because the generation before us, like our dads and their dads, by this point had already spent 20, 30 years, at a factory or something. I mean, my grandpa, Eastman Kodak, retired from Eastman Kodak factory. My dad, he's more on the entrepreneurial side, but yeah, me and you, we're just getting started, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so I printed out some of our Facebook conversation, and so I'd have some notes to go by, but you want me to go by that and just ask you some questions, or you want to just kind of tell me where you're at and what's going on? And
we can kind of do a little of both, I guess. So.
Okay. Tell you what, I'll kick it off with this, because maybe this will get your mind rolling on like what's top of mind. is that you feel stuck in transition. Multiple businesses over the years, and some profitable enough, I guess, some not profitable. I mean, if you're like most of us entrepreneurs, a lot of what we do just doesn't work out, or we were just experimenting. Is that kind of how you'd still define where you're at, just in transition?
Yeah, kind of a little bit. So getting it figured out and moving off in a direction, I guess. So
yeah. Now, what kind of stuff have you done in the past for income?
Tried a podcast that didn't produce any income at any point. I think I had maybe 12 episodes at one point before I gave up on it. And let's see, about the same time, my wife and I, the small town we were living in, had a print and embroidery shop, which did really well during school sports season, but didn't quite catch on that was the only customer, was the sports or athletes majority. So when school ended and the sports seasons ended, so kind of did the business. So ended up having to abandon that and go back to a regular job. And then I've on the side done home maintenance, handyman type stuff, which I still do on and off, because anytime you throw out something like, hey, anybody have anything they need to do, Facebook post, and they kind of I'm always able to find work. Now, jobs in the past, not so much, but I can always find work.
Yeah. Yeah. And we mentioned our mutual friend, John Sanders. I know he's got, to hear him talk, it's a pretty popular handyman service.
Yeah. Yep. Up north here. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw a guy on Facebook the other day. Matter of fact, I posted it kind of making fun of him, but he threw a thing out on Facebook, one of the local pages. And it was like, I can do handyman stuff, welding, or tattoos.
Yeah, I saw that. And let's not get the tattoos and welding mixed up. That might be painful.
Well, I was thinking if he screwed the tattoo up, at least he could get rid of it real quick with the welding.
Yeah, that's a thought. I guess I didn't think of that. So
yeah. Well, with the screen print and embroidery, is that something you'd even think about wanting to go back into, or?
No, that was just way too much time consuming. And I mean, I was working, I don't know, I'd start at like 6:30 in the morning and wouldn't finish until 8 or 9 at night. And it was kind of just me by myself, and then trying to, train people. I wasn't a really good trainer as far as that business goes, because some would show up and I'd tell them what I needed done, and then that's what they would do and nothing else.
Oh, so, yeah. And I mean, those hours too, I mean, that even if you're making millions, you can only maintain that short term, but I'm guessing you weren't making millions.
Oh no, not even close. So.
Yeah. That's kind of burning at the both ends kind of thing. What about the handyman stuff? That seems like something it would be easy to do for extra money. You ever thought about making that more of a full-time business, or is that something that would really light you up?
Tried that, but I need to work on my business sense in that aspect, because I found that there was a lot of times I wasn't charging enough, and I still making money, just not nearly enough. Like I'd do like a 5 or 6 hour job and end up with like $50-$60 out of it. So I just needed to learn how to plan those a little bit better.
Gas and time and everything else, you made negative probably.
Yep.
Yeah. My dad's got an exterior remodeling company. He's had the business almost 40 years, and but he's getting older, and the entire company is built around him. I mean, if he quit, the company would stop. Right. So I've been trying to look at maybe helping him transition over to a handyman, because he's got the infrastructure, the business, the tools, the trucks, 2 or 3 guys that work for him, but all his workforce is getting too old to be building big decks and sunrooms and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
You mentioned an eBay store. Is that something you're still doing?
Yeah, I still have that at the moment. Not real active with it. I've only got about 25 items currently listed. So, and most of those are books, but I mean, I'm still selling maybe 1 or 2 items a month. So, I mean, it's still there. Excuse me. Sorry.
So it's there enough to keep it alive.
Yeah. So I've done that and Amazon both in the past, and trying to get back into Amazon a little bit, which is, the eBay store funded Amazon in the past, but I need to start getting more stuff going to do that same thing again. But
yeah.
So yeah.
Now, did you do it big enough to where you're doing the FBA type stuff, or you're mainly just selling like collectibles, books, that kind of thing?
We did a lot of grocery FBA when I was doing the Amazon stuff. So, and then on the eBay side, it's a lot of collectibles and vintage items and stuff. So
Yeah. Okay. So that might be something you're wanting to build up more.
Well, yep, because back in 2020, I actually got injured right before COVID, back in January, and that kind of put me at home for quite a while. So started looking at building the Amazon stuff then, and if I'd have stuck with it, I'd have a really good store right now. But for 2021, I think we did just under $20,000 between Amazon and eBay sales. So, but then I got the job that I'm working now and kind of focused on that, and kind of been there for 3 years now and seeing the direction it's going. I'm not looking to quit, just looking to start supplementing. And because it is a state job, so there's like no control over your pay or extra hours or anything like that. You just kind of get what they give you, and that's it. So,
yeah, and you never know when a budget cut's going to wipe out your job too.
Right. So it's not really going to wipe us out this year, but they did cut a bunch of funding from our department, I guess, and the raise we're looking at coming this year is 1.25%. So yeah, huge.
Ouch.
Yeah,
man. So, and what inflation is double or triple that?
Yeah, easily. Yeah, it's like 3 or 4. Wow. So yeah. So that's why I started looking at need to start getting some side hustles going again and some things that I can work while I'm working. And so
Now, as far as the workforce, do you is your wife in on some of this with you? Kids helping out, that kind of thing, or is it mainly you?
Kids are both grown and out of the house at the moment. Wife is actually working to get her nurse practitioner degree, so she's got her focus. So this is pretty much on me.
Yeah. So at least in a few years, she'll be making some good money. Well, it depends on where you get a job as an NP, but typically they make pretty decent.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So a little more security there. Okay. So it's mainly you, though.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe reviving that a little bit. 21,000 in a year, though. I mean, for a side hustle, that's not too bad.
No.
And let's see. All right, I'm looking through my notes here. And we're kind of staying away from mentioning what you do right now because you are still working there and you're happy there, even though the raise is not what it could be.
Right. Well, I do work as a maintenance tech, so I mean, I'm still in the building construction side area. So I spent the majority of my career as a equipment operator. So 16 years I ran equipment and cranes and built a lot of bridges and wind towers and some other smaller commercial stuff. So, I mean, I have a lot of building experience, which led to one of the other interests I had was becoming a home inspector, which several years ago I did all the classes and everything, finished the course, got all my required hours in. I just never took the certification test.
Oh.
So, and now it's been long enough I have to redo the classes because that's become another interest because, I mean, you can easily make $1,000, $2,000 a weekend on home inspections, doing them right, obviously. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you get in good with the realtors. You get a lot of calls of those. I got a friend that does home inspections, and it's pretty much just for the realtors that he hasn't even branched out from those guys.
Yep, and, my wife has a cousin who's in real estate, and I've got a couple other friends locally that are in real estate. So, I mean, previously when I'd reached out to them before, they were like, oh, yeah, absolutely. As soon as you get licensed, let us know. And, I just kind of dropped the ball and focused on some other stuff.
Yeah. Now, I was talking to a guy the other day. I was doing some coaching, and we were talking about elevator inspectors. That where he's at, it's super easy to do, but with the time it takes, I mean, you make a ton of money.
Nice. So we're talking is that like a normal building elevator? Or are you talking like grain elevators? Because I'm rural.
Oh no. So. He was kind of rural. He has to travel a little bit to do it, but mainly talking like hospitals, hotels.
Oh, okay.
Just not even commercial elevators, I guess. Just mostly the people movers.
Got it.
Yeah. So you're out in the sticks.
A little bit. I mean, good sized town. I mean, it's about 10, 12,000 people here, and I live a few miles outside of town, so it's a little small acreage. But
okay, all right. Like for instance, where I'm at, I'm 20 minutes from the nearest Walmart. That's kind of how I evaluate rural versus not rural.
It's about a half hour to the nearest Walmart, so yeah.
Okay.
And then if you want to go to Target or something, it's like 45 minutes to an hour the other direction.
That's the way it is here. The Target's like an hour away, but Walmart's close by. And there's like $15 trees and Dollar Generals nearby too.
We got 2 of them, in town. So, yeah.
Yep. All right. And Say what?
I was going to say, you're just a little bit warmer there than we are. So.
Oh yeah, we're man, it's like a high of 30 today, which is cold here.
Yeah, our high is -1, and we hit that at 9:00 this morning.
Oh man.
So,
yeah, a little bit warmer here. I only have to wear 3 layers when I go out.
That's just to go start the truck. It's 3 layers.
Yeah. Chip the ice off the truck and get it started up.
Yep.
I went to Alaska one time. I was doing some traveling and went to Alaska, and I got up there and it's like, why do all these people have plugs hanging out of the front of their cars? Because we didn't need that where I lived.
Yep. Engine block heaters. Yep. Familiar with them.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. So I tell you what, if as far as brainstorming goes, like all these different options and stuff, like if you could pick anything, like a dream stream of income, like you knew you'd make enough money and you dropped everything else and you just love doing this, what would your dream stream of income be? Like, what do you see yourself doing?
Of everything that I have going or have touched, I honestly, for what I have experience with, I'd say the Amazon store. Just because I've, seen enough people that built it up that, they're still hands-on. They still have to be active in the business, but they're not physically having to go out and buy the product, pack it, ship it. They've got it built up in it, and that's where ultimately I would love to be able to get to, and then back that up with, writing a couple books. And so.
Yeah. Okay. And with the Amazon stuff, have you ever thought about like really niching down small, or you kind of just whatever you come across with the FBA type stuff?
Well, right now, trying to break back into it. It's just, what I'm allowed to sell, what I'm ungated in currently. So that's, quitting for a while and coming back into it. You're treated as a whole brand new seller. So there's a lot of stuff I used to sell that I can't right now that I just got to wait until I get back steady again.
Yeah, Amazon's weird about that, I guess, because I used to sell a lot of books. I was a book nerd, and for years I just sold my collection or books I bought at garage sales and stuff. And it seemed like before I could sell anything, and now half the publishers, like unless I have the receipts for a wholesale buy or something, I can't sell.
Right, not on Amazon. eBay is a little bit friendlier that way, but even then, you're still competing with everybody who wants to try and sell everything for $1 or $2. And
and I've noticed a lot of these bin stores popping up too, where before you could buy stuff and resell it, and now like I've got bin stores, 2 or 3 of them nearby, and just in this little town where people are buying, things by the truckload and reselling it cheap.
Yeah, we got a Goodwill south in the next city down that, they have one of their bin stores, the Goodwill bins. Yeah. So every 2 hours they rotate, they bring in new bins, take the old ones out, and there's always a ton of people in there, and it's just chaos. But and even trying to find stuff in the thrift stores around here has kind of become pointless because a lot of the thrift stores caught on that there were resellers buying their stuff cheap and selling it on eBay. So now they price it equal to about what it goes for on eBay.
Yeah. Okay. I have noticed when I buy used books, a lot of times it's coming from a Goodwill store or a thrift store.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They finally saw the market and kind of squeezing some other people out. Yep. So Amazon, are you involved in any groups or anything with Amazon FBA? Like, we've probably got some mutual friends in that arena.
Yeah, my silent team on Facebook, and right now
that's
the Unleashed group. Huh? Yes. Jim Cochran. And then also a member in the Unleashed group with Ryan Rieger, which is actually where the interview you did there is kind of where I started following you a little bit more and connecting. And I think you and I have run similar circles for years, the 48 Days and the Eagles Club. And So, and I don't know how far back you were. I don't know if you were ever in Kevin Miller's group that he used to have.
Yeah, I was. Matter of fact, I went out to Colorado one time for one of his retreats.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, I was, let's see, Dan changed names for a bunch of, seemed like for a few years there, Dan would change names every few months or so. And like 212 Connection, I think, was when I got involved with Dan.
Okay.
Yep. But the Dan Miller Alumni Club, I call it. I so many friends that I met through Dan, whether virtual or in person.
Right.
Yeah.
My problem is I'm not.
Say what?
I was going to say I'm usually not the most social guy, so like reaching out to new people is kind of like one of my areas I need to work on. So.
Yeah. So what are your next steps that you're thinking about doing for the Amazon thing?
Right now, like I said, with the eBay, we're kind of trying to get stuff going on eBay to build money for Amazon. So that way I'm not having to use a lot of household money. That's actually how I started to begin with. I started with $100, started flipping stuff we had around the house. Of course, I don't have a lot of stuff around the house anymore because I already sold it all once. So, but I do have a handful of stuff still I need to get listed, and just following a lot of the groups with that, that talk about, don't just list on the weekends. You need to kind of be steady to keep the algorithm paying attention to you. So like trying to list something daily or every other day and just getting that money flowing. And then I am doing, it's the Proven Amazon course. There's a couple other specialty classes in there that I'm going through right now to help out with that too. So.
Yeah. And that's the one Jimmy Smith's running now. Or is that still Cochran?
I think it's still Jim Cochran, but Jimmy Smith is a lot involved in a lot of the stuff now, and he's got some really good YouTube videos too now that he throws out there. So, you don't have to pay for a whole lot of stuff in those groups because they throw out a lot of free stuff. If you just pay attention, you can pick up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's one thing I always liked about Dan Miller and all these people in these groups. I mean, there's good knowledge in their paid stuff, but man, they give away so much information.
Yep.
Yeah.
Especially Dan. Anytime you had a question with Dan, if he'd read it on the air and then, a week or two later, you get an autographed book show up. I've got like 3 of them. So
yeah. For a while, I would, I'd have multiple copies of 48 Days and Rudder for the Day. And I would give them away to other people when they asked me for advice and with things. Well, you got some nearby?
Yep, right there.
Yeah,
right, that's the new addition to it. Yeah, I think that's the newer one. Yeah, that was the 10th anniversary one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. No, it's good. I miss Dan. He was kind of a mentor of mine for a long time. I mean, I would drive to Nashville, take the classes at his house and everything.
Nice.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So I mean, man, you're set up, ready to go. I mean, you've got the experience with the stuff. You're already in courses. I mean, you're making this too easy for me because usually I get people on here to brainstorm, and I'm like, have you thought about taking a course? And they're like, well, I wouldn't know where to find a course.
Well, I think that's kind of my problem is I, run around and do a lot of the prep stuff, but when we get to the execution parts where I start slowing down a little bit and like losing faith in myself that this is actually going to work. So,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, you've already proved it would work with what you did in 21. 21 and 21. That as far as the side hustle, now you've got all this experience under your belt.
Yep.
Yep. So, man, and trying to think. Something I wanted to ask you about, kind of off topic. The Kevin Coble stuff. Is that somebody you would recommend following? I've watched a video or two of his.
For the older guys, yeah, because I've been watching his what is his After 50 or something podcast that I've been listening to. So yeah, he's kind of focusing on more of a age range that we're going into versus seems like everybody else is focusing on 20s and 30s and maybe a little bit of the 40-year-old range. But yeah, he's kind of focusing on hey, you're 50, you're not dead. You still got plenty of life left and time to do stuff. So yeah, I kind of started being a fan of his. This podcast is really good. So
yeah, because I mean, I could watch Mr. Beast, like how to do it like Mr. Beast videos all day long, but he's got, with the team, the age, everything, he's got a lot of things going that there's no way I can replicate any of that. Pretty much,
Yeah, Forward from 50. That's the name of his show.
Okay, Forward from 50.
Yeah.
All right, I'll put some links in the show notes. All right, so you're set up. You just got to pull the trigger. What are you doing all this for? I'm kind of using that to a segue into, you mentioned a few things that you're wanting to do to build a platform for. Is there any of that you'd like to talk about?
Clarify that a little bit. I got lost in the question.
I'm kind of asking it general because I wasn't sure how much you wanted to talk about, but you were wanting to talk about wanting to help some other men with some things.
Yeah, kind of one of the things I've run into most of my life, which is a lot of where I end up being hesitant on some stuff, is, I wasn't the greatest, most respected person when I was younger. I got into a lot of trouble, got to see the inside of a jail cell more than once. And so I've had a lot of people that, like, you can't do this because of your history. You can't do that because you were this guy. And, and now I no longer live where I used to live, where all that happened. So there's not a lot of people that know me or know a lot of my history anymore. But that's still stuck in my head that, like, okay, well, if that comes out, how do I deal with that? And I'm kind of slowly getting over that part. Celebrate Recovery several years ago kind of helped push through a lot of that. And so there's a lot of younger guys that are coming out of that situation that realize that they need to start changing their life, and they are now where I have been. So, I just kind of had that passion for that ministry and that direction of, like, so, Dan Miller was great with him always saying that, don't be held back by the choices the 18-year-old you made. You're no longer 18 years old. You're no longer that guy. So,
yep. So you just want to generate, you just want to have more time and everything, time and funding, I guess, to work more with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. At church, I've heard people say that, those younger days, you're building your testimony, building the testimony that you can work from and tell people about, hopefully, so they don't make the same mistakes. All right. Well, man, how can I help you? Other than just encouraging you to dive headlong into doing this thing.
I think the encouragement's good. I'm not real sure. I don't know if I come up with something else, I can reach back out and maybe do some paid coaching with you or something.
Yeah. Well, what would be your next step to with the FBA? Is it time to go ahead and reach out and try to find some stuff, or get a VA that's finding stuff?
Actually, I've already started looking for some stuff again. Found a few things I can start sending in and testing again. Yeah. It's a matter of funding. That's kind of all it is.
So you may need to hit up some estate sales and stuff to generate some collectible funding.
Yeah, which we should be coming up on that season here shortly, because those usually kick off in the spring in the rural areas. They wait until everything thaws out to start doing that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, self-funding is hard with you having kids out of the house, because, most of my eBay stuff is stuff my kids are getting rid of.
Right.
Yeah, like, stacks of Nerf guns and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. All right. Well, if you could give some advice to somebody wanting to do kind of what you're doing, like, let's say they're starting from scratch, like they're at the stage you were when you're looking around the house, finding stuff to sell. What would you say for advice on that?
Definitely do your research, and not to keep quoting, name dropping people, but Jim Cockrum always says, find the group, find the people that are doing it, that aren't trying to charge you an arm and a leg, but are actually sharing information, and, learn how to do the stuff, because that's the biggest thing is, learn from others. Learning by yourself takes a long time to do this stuff. But if you're in those groups or utilizing those coaches, or even just watching the YouTube videos, but if they're trying to sell you something directly, then just kind of be cautious where you're spending your money, because I've also done that in the past too, and paid for stuff that didn't pan out, that, all it did was make that person some money.
Yeah.
So it's just be careful with where you spend your money, and learn everything you can before you start blowing your money.
Yeah. Okay. And some of the groups we're in, like Unleashed and some of the others, I like jumping into groups like that and just asking people flat out, like, who would you recommend?
Yep.
Yeah, and pretty much the ones you've mentioned across the board, that's who would pop up first for this industry would be, Cockrum, Jimmy Smith, Ryan.
Yep, and there's a couple other, as well as I do, there's some other spin-off groups that have come out of that, and some other people that are working on getting their name up there too. So, but there's a lot of good information in that Facebook group, and you can ask a million dumb questions, and somebody's always going to give you a good answer. I don't think I've ever seen much negative in there. Usually when the negative stuff shows up, they try and get it out of there as quick as possible. So.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't like people dragging the group down.
Right.
Yep. Yep. And I guess, of course, if you have no idea what you're wanting to do, buy Dan's book and it'll give you some clarification.
Yes, definitely.
Yep. Well, here's a question though, a side question, because I'm like completely in the entrepreneurial space, and we get a few people time to time that have W-2 jobs that like they wouldn't get rid of it if they could. So I mean, your W-2 job, you are wanting to stay there for a while. I mean, the money's good and everything. It's the stability that's the biggest problem.
Well, the stability is there. It's just, I don't know. I like the job. It's not horrible. I've definitely done a lot worse in the past, and it's a government position, so it's not going anywhere anytime soon, hopefully. But I just want just a little bit more of something, and then further down the road, if it gets to the point where I'm no longer physically able to do some of the stuff that I can do, I have something to fall back on. So that's a big thing in the back of my mind too, because I have been injured a couple times, and I do have some limitations now. But 50 is not 20, so you don't heal as fast from things.
Yeah, guys our age, man, we could sit around over coffee or beer and just talk about injuries, and this shoulder doesn't work right.
Yep. I've had 3 surgeries on that left side, and then I mean, popped a rib laying in the rafters of my attic putting in an exhaust fan. So I mean, I think I'm the only guy I know that can get injured laying down. So
that is a new one for me. Yep. Hey, here's another idea I just thought of that throw out at you is because one of the big things I try to get people to do is to make money, more streams of income off stuff they're already doing. Like,
right.
Don't keep adding side hustles, but just take what you're already doing. What your wife is doing, there have been quite a few people over the years that have made a lot of money publishing their study notes for nursing exams and stuff.
Right.
And I mean, it's amazing for nursing and things like that, the amount of notes and everything you generate. And I've even seen people selling the handwritten notes just because they have a really good handwriting, that kind of thing. And so that might be something to look at too for you grabbing some of your wife's stuff and monetizing that.
It's an option. She doesn't do a whole lot of handwritten stuff. Most everything's electronic now, including all the courses, and so.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that would be even easier though if she has a whole page of notes. Just email it to me and let's see where we can go with it.
Yeah. Maybe sneak it into her. I doubt she's going to watch this. Maybe so. Sneak it in and say, hey, have you ever thought about a new study method? Writing out some of these notes instead of just doing it all on the computer.
Right.
Yeah, but just something to think about because I've talked to people in different industries that once I could get them to realize how much content they actually generate, that they think it's just boring, dry content. But if you're in a job, somebody else could use that content, whether you're a teacher or a nurse or an insurance agent, anything. I mean, just like blank forms, things like that. People buy that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, so just something to put on the back burner if if you want to try something else. If you have a bunch of free time at night and you want to work on something else. Yep.
Yeah, throw it in the mix. Why not?
Say what?
I said throw it in the mix. Why not?
Yeah. So anything else you want to cover? Anything else you want to bring up or ask about?
No, I mean, I do live on a small rural acreage. I mean, we're on just over 2.5, almost 2.5 acres. And I know I kind of reached out to you before when you were, talked about selling rabbit poop, because we do have a 4-H bunny that we can't seem to get rid of. So thought about, hey, maybe making him pay his own way. And of course, we do have a couple chickens. I mean, we only got 2 at the moment. Raccoons or something's got majority of them. But, with the price of eggs, that's always, easy money right there when you've got enough going that kick off. And so just trying to think of other ways to use the property with stuff that we're already doing. So like one of the other considerations, we do have enough room that if we wanted to, we could get a couple of milk goats and maybe start making some cheese or something. And just trying to think of things to use around here. So
no, I mean that's a big draw of mine right now, because I've got 5 acres that I own, and my parents own another 5 beside me that I could use for farming type stuff. And to be perfectly honest, though, what I'm trying to figure out, like with the rabbit poop, is things I can generate and sell without having to go to the farmer's market every Saturday. Because I did that for years, helping my dad with his business, doing home shows and stuff. And like sitting at the market all day long would make me not enjoy any of that.
Eggs around here is real simple. You just tell people you got farm fresh eggs, and everybody starts throwing money at you. I mean, you don't even have to go to the farmer's market.
Okay. So you guys could even do like a roadside stand or something?
Yep. Yeah, probably if we could. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, just about anything you generated, you could sell there.
Yep. And then the same with the broiler chickens. I mean, we raised meat chickens a couple years. And at one point, I had almost 70 chickens between the egg layers and the broilers. And
yeah.
So, and again, people find out that you're raising meat chickens and are like, oh, how much do you want for one? And, because, we don't use any of the chemicals or antibiotics or anything else the big breeders do for the few times that we've done it. And so, yeah, they're more than willing to pay twice what the grocery store is charging for some of that stuff. So,
oh, man. And the way you talk it up, too, you make it seem even more specialized.
Right. Yeah, you just feed them and let them roam and eat bugs and.
Yep.
Chickens only.
Well, that might be the ticket for a fun side income there, just increasing some of that.
Yeah, because the chickens only take 8 to 10 weeks to get them up to size to butcher. If you get the Cornish cross, the ones that are actually meant for meat birds, so I mean they get big fast. So. Okay.
And I was watching the inauguration earlier. Some of the new health initiatives that I'm hoping come down with the new administration, it may up the value of, farm and home raised chickens and birds and things like that even more. Right. I mean, the weird thing is I've got a feeling that some of the changes are going to make grocery prices go back down to manageable levels, but specialty prices for healthy stuff, I mean, that's a niche product that never really goes down,
Right. Well, like I said, we only have 2 chickens, so we actually went and bought eggs when we were at the grocery store this morning. And to kind of what surprised me was the store brand free range eggs were cheaper than everything else.
Really?
Yeah. So, I mean, they were still $4 for a dozen, but still they were cheaper than everything else that was running around there. So I thought that was kind of odd. So
yeah, that's a little bit of a flip flop.
So yeah, maybe the free ranger, I don't know, less work. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe so. Less speed and everything involved. Well, that's cool. That that one really piques my interest because the farming's something I'm researching a bunch of farming stuff for a podcast coming up because I've got a bunch of people been asking me how to legitimize farm stuff they've been doing, like getting a farm number and all that kind of stuff. And that way it opens them up for grants and loans and whatever they want to get into with the USDA and all that.
Yep, and I looked into South Dakota after hearing you talk about that too before, and so for South Dakota to be registered as a farm, you only have to sell $1,000 worth of ag products.
Oh wow,
a year.
That's pretty low.
So yeah, chickens, eggs, rabbit poop, all of that. I mean, yeah, you can easily make $1,000 quick. So
yeah, that's a low barrier. I'm gonna mark that one down because I haven't researched every state, but that'd be a good one to throw in there because I like those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here in South Carolina, we're, it's pretty much, there's no minimum limit or anything. You just apply for a farm number. They don't even come out and look at it. They just pull up a survey of your property and they circle it and say, oh, okay, he's got 5 acres. Let's put him down for 5 acres.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah. There's one thing I like about South Carolina. Everything's easy.
Yeah. We did look into actually doing egg production because to legally sell them at the farmer's market or whatever, you're supposed to be licensed, but that gets real intense because then you have to have a separate egg washing area that's sanitized, similar, like a restaurant. So you end up with a health inspection twice a year and that's all got to be separate from your house, separate from anything else. And so it gets
can you
very
sell them from
very
home
fast.
Without any of that?
You can sell from home to acquaintances.
Technically that would include Facebook friends. You market them on Facebook and.
Yeah, you're not supposed to advertise if you're not licensed, but you're welcome to sell to friends and family. So, but again, you tell people you got farm fresh eggs and word gets out fast. So yeah.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy with the separate egg stations and all that. Cause I was thinking, we wash ours upstairs in the kitchen sink.
Right.
Yep. The ones that come with the little bits of chocolate on the outside of the shell.
Yep. Yeah, we got a little egg scrubber. We wash them in the kitchen sink ourselves, but if you want to do like commercial operation, then it's got to be a separate entity. So separate space.
Yeah.
Which it can just be another room off your house. It just has to be separate from where you're going to be eating.
So. Yeah, just kind of a dedicated space.
Yep, more or less. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. The man, well, I'm excited about what you're going to be doing though. So keep in touch with me with the Amazon stuff, because I mean, you're like on the verge of getting back into the 21K a year kind of thing. I would think.
I'm hoping. Yeah.
Had to wait for a good Christmas for the kids and grandkids.
Right. Yep. The only big obstacle I have at the moment is our UPS store just closed, so I got to drive 25 minutes to the next nearest one if I've got a big load to go out, or pay the $7-8 it is for them to come pick it up. So.
Okay, man. Yeah. So my UPS store is right beside my church. It's only about 15 minutes away.
Nice.
Yeah, but I don't ship much. Like you said, though, I sell collectibles and stuff I pick up at garage sales mainly. But what you said about the listing days, I mean, it works. I list a couple of things at least once a week on different days. And I could tell if I miss a week or two, sales drop. But if I'm listing regular, that stuff may not even be what sells. I mean, some of my old stuff sells. It's just it tricks the algorithm, I guess.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I still get 1 or 2 sales a month, but those couple months where I wasn't listing anything, nothing moved. I mean,
so. Yep, it's like eBay forgets about you.
Yep, they kind of, they take the Jesus approach on that, and help those who help themselves.
Yeah. Yep. Faith works with Jesus, but not eBay. Yep. All right, man. Well, I'll let you go. Is there anything you want to add, or anything like that before we go?
No, I think we're good there. Other than try and stop worrying about what other people think of you, because 9 times out of 10, they ain't thinking of you. They got their own problems. So, yeah.
Oh, hey, before I forget, one last thing. If you'll message me a link to your eBay store, I'll throw that in the show notes too. And, sure. See if we can throw you a few more sales.
We'll do that. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, man. And, we kind of got you on here anonymous, so I won't ask you how folks can get in touch with you, but the eBay store is there. They can check on that and message you through there easy enough. And
Yep, we can do that. Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, I appreciate you joining me. I like doing these brainstorming sessions because it gets me thinking about my own stuff as well. Especially you start talking about farming, and it gives me some ideas and everything too.
Right on.
Yep. So. I will tell you though, the rabbit poop did not take off as much as I'd hoped. Yeah, so we use more of it for fertilizer here on the farm than we do selling it, but it's free fertilizer. So I guess the trade-off for rabbit feed is good enough for I don't have to buy fertilizer. So.
Perfect. So yeah.
Yep.
Even one little bunny puts out enough to take care of the garden. Man. So
they put out a pile of stuff.
Yep.
Yep, but it's clean. it's clean fertilizer, so you don't have to worry about it. Yep. All right. Well, thanks for coming out, man. And well, I'll see you in one of these groups we're in together. And but I'll send you all the links and everything once this publishes.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, man. Take care.
Yep. You too. Happy birthday again.
Yeah. Thank you. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Streams of Income podcast, and we are here with a rare return guest. So the last episode that you listened to or saw was with Chris, and but these two are actually filmed several weeks or maybe even a month apart. So me and Chris talked, and you've heard that on the last one, but Chris got in touch with me and had some ideas and stuff, and some other things we wanted to talk about. So I thought it'd be cool to do these back to back and at least publish them back to back. And that way you can see the change that can come about with a business or ideas or anything just in a short time. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, in short, is to encourage all of you to action over meditation, always. So, Chris, they've got the intro in the last episode. And hey, let me say, if y'all are listening and you don't have the intro, go back and listen to the last episode. You're going to want to hear that one first to get some background stuff. But what do you have going on now, Chris?
Well, I know one of the big things I was kicking around was like my handyman home property maintenance business. And it was a lot of talk at the time, and actually connected with one of our mutual friends, John Sanders, who does a lot of coaching in that area. So him and I kind of worked together, got my business up and going, kind of helping him expand his into my area, as working as kind of his subcontractor. But between the effort right there, I mean, just since we've talked last, it's been a little over a month, and I've made like $1,000 on the side with that business. So
wow, that's awesome, man.
and only worked about 3 or 4 days out of it. So yeah, that worked out great. So
yeah. And John's been on the podcast here. John, the pastor turned fireman, still fireman turned entrepreneur. And so you're working under him as a contractor.
Right. Subcontractor under him, but also running my own. So,
okay.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's kind of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because I mean, we live about 70 miles apart, so we're about an hour difference. So, yeah, subcontractor for him for the jobs that he gets called in my area, and then vice versa. If I get any calls up in his area, then, I'll flip those to him and we'll kind of split the difference. And otherwise he works his up there and I work mine down here. And
yeah, that's pretty cool. And so is it mostly handyman stuff, or are you specializing in a particular area? Or
right now it's just kind of a general handyman. If I can do it, I'll go do it. Not really niche down or specialized on anything just yet, but have a couple ideas kicking around. So
yeah, that's pretty cool, because everybody always says niche, and if you'll find a niche and make it smaller into a smaller niche. But I'll be honest with you, all around general handyman is its own niche, because being able to go into somebody's house and do everything from patch a hole in the sheetrock and hang the TV mount, same visit, that kind of deal. You kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and I think kind of where we landed, his business is called, Dakota Small Jobs, and that's kind of where we focus, is the small jobs, stuff that the bigger contractors either just think is a waste of time or don't have time to get to, or they're not going to make enough money to send a team over to take care of it. Yeah. So that is kind of our niche, is the smaller stuff. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. So what kind of jobs have you done so far?
Installed some safety handrails for a woman that was coming out of the hospital. Patched up a hole where electrician went a little too far. Painted a room, and
that's pretty cool. My dad does exterior remodeling, does sunrooms and stuff. But just because he's got the truck and the tools, people call him for he'll do handyman stuff for customers, like existing customers. And he did one time. It was somebody coming out of the hospital and converted their bathroom into basically a handicap bathroom, all the rails and the raised toilet seats and all that. And, I mean, it's pretty extensive work. They didn't enjoy it because it was so out of their norm. But, they had the tools and everything, and it was a customer, so we did it. But much rather send that kind of stuff to the guys like you.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, this particular customer, we didn't do a remodel. I mean, they had a walk-in shower, and they've got a big, whirlpool tub that just needed someplace to hold on to. So that's all. Yeah.
You'll have to forgive me if I sound like I'm underwater. Allergies are... The pollen's coming out here in South Carolina already, and the allergies are kicking crazy.
Oh, it is that season, though, huh?
Yeah. Yep. This is something to put up with to get some warm weather.
So, yeah, that's the kind of the big money maker at the moment. And then I think I've messaged you on one of the other Facebook groups that, so early last year, I kind of started doing some of the low content journals and KDP books and stuff like that. And I think I've kicked out about a dozen of them, and they got kind of a slow start, but just kind of set them off to the side and forgot about them, and then started seeing a couple deposits showing up in the bank account, and had to track back to see what was going on, and realized there was a couple of those that actually sold over Christmas. So one of them I did was like a hunting journal for kids, so you can go out and track your animals and the landscape and just kind of get a feel for what's going on with the animals, a tracking journal basically is all it was, but for kids. And so a couple of them actually got somebody's attention and sold. So that was kind of cool seeing that pop up.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Are you affiliated with Jenny Hunt at all?
Actually, that's the course that I took of hers was last year. So.
Okay. I'm taking a class of hers on Wednesday about how to do the KDP ads. And to kind of do some marketing for the low content books, because I got a bunch of journals and stuff on there too, but it's hard to bring them to the forefront.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of why I just kind of forgot about them, because they weren't really doing anything after a while, and so I just kind of moved on to something else. And then, hey, surprise, they're still out there. So as long as they're still out there, eventually they might do something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's what I love about KDP and like passive income. You do a little bit of work and then just turn it loose like an 18-year-old kid, and hope it doesn't get into trouble.
Yep. And on that same passive note, it's been a while since I've done that too, but did some just like how-to audiobooks. Somebody else wrote them. They sent them out to was it ACX, the Amazon exchange. So did a couple of those a few years back, and I mean, don't make a whole lot of money on it. I think one of them I get like 70-cent royalties, the other one's like $3 or $4, but they trickle in every once in a while too. So just actually rearranged some things in our house. So got my office set back up and looking to get my recording equipment set back up, and possibly looking at launching a podcast in the future. But at the same time, going get back into the audiobooks while we can still get back into the audiobooks before, the AI robots take over all of it. So,
yeah. Hey, here's a couple ideas for you. Like for your handyman customers, do a handyman house maintenance journal. Like where it's got calendars in it. And I forget what day it is, but there's a certain day of the year all the firemen are like, change the batteries in your smoke detectors this day. And you could have it quarterly to, change the vents in your HVAC, all that, or change the filters. I mean, that kind of stuff. Blow out your dryer vent, that kind of stuff. And the great thing though is, I mean, you could do up like business cards for you, but on the back you could even have a QR code, and existing customers can buy this thing for whatever it costs, and they could download the PDF or get the KDP version. That'd be kind of neat. I mean, you could. The great thing though is you're telling them when to schedule it. Hopefully, they're going to call you though and say, "Hey, I don't want to do this. I don't want to pull the dryer out and disconnect the hose and blow that thing out. How much would it cost for you to come and do it for me?"
Right. And I mean, I like the journal idea. I just made a note of that. I hadn't thought about that part of it. But the other idea I was kind of kicking around that I'm not real sure where to go with it is kind of like a membership type setup, like for $5 or $10 a month. I'll keep in my schedule, and that's just to cover the cost of maintaining the schedule and whatnot. So when your furnace filter needs changed, your water filters need changed, we need to get your gutters clean, like you said, clean out the dryer vent, stuff like that, then that's just that membership fee is just so that we can track what needs to be done for you. And when the time pops up, give you a call and go, "Hey, this comes due this month. When would you like to schedule it?"
Yeah. And that covers the cost of you keeping them in the spreadsheet and all that.
Yeah. So just kind of an idea.
That's a great idea. I like that. Plus, too, the membership customers get first dibs on service calls over new clients, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and of course, always you sprinkle a little discount in there just to make it more enticing. So
yeah, no, that's a great idea. And the money too that you'll make probably the most will be in the small upsells. Like, I don't know, if you're going to blow out the dryer vents once a year, and then like, oh hey, the cover on the outside of your house is busted up, because it's always those cheap plastic covers. Mm-hmm. So I can replace the cheap plastic when I got one in my truck for $10, or I've got these metal ones that they're $25, but you won't have to replace it for 10 years.
Exactly. And the same with gutter cleanings, because I absolutely hate cleaning gutters. And then actually my insurance limits me to not going any higher than 30 feet off the ground.
Okay. So that's a good thing, though.
That's a great incentive actually to start pushing for gutter covers too. Like, hey, while I'm up here, we can just knock this out where I never have to come up here again. So.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. And we talked about wildfire season before the recording, and they say that's one of the biggest dangers for houses with wildfires is embers getting caught up in the gutters that are full of leaves and everything else. It's like you're storing just kindling up there.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I've done a couple of gutter cleanings, and usually when I get called, it's because they can start seeing trees growing from the ground because it's been so long since they've cleaned their gutters that stuff's growing in there now. Yeah,
that's not an herb garden.
No, it's not. Yeah, and daylight. I was going to say daylight savings is what you were talking about, where the fire department always recommends checking and changing your batteries, and so yep. And actually, I think we just had that recently, and I didn't even realize the clocks had changed until I saw somebody's post that said, "Hey, I got an extra hour of sleep despite the clocks changing." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that was today," because everything's automatic anymore.
I would ignore it.
Well, not even that. I mean, your phone, your smartphones, devices, computers, everything changes on its own. So you don't even have to pay attention anymore. And of course, your alarms are, adjust with it. So you just wake up and go, wow, it's really bright this morning.
Yep. And the weird thing is it's darker in the morning where I'm at and it's light longer.
No, okay.
Yeah, which screws up my kids because they hate going to bed when it's still daylight.
Nice. Yeah, so do I, but
Yeah. You mentioned the ladders. I started because I used to help my dad out a bunch, and I hated going up on the extension ladders because once I started looking at the weight rating, realizing that I'm a good 10, 20 pounds over what most of those are rated for. And then here I am, and they're shaking, and I'm making it shake more.
Yep.
Yeah, most of them are rated, 225, 250, and I'm right on the edge of that.
Yeah. There's a couple of companies I've worked for in the past that we had to go spend the extra money to get the 300 plus pound ratings for, a couple bigger guys. Because I mean, I'm not quite to the 300 pound, but I'm 220. But you start adding tools and parts and whatnot, and you're right over that limit real fast. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I love it when my dad would hire the Mexican roofers. And because, those guys are usually skinny and wiry, and they would sprint up the ladders with a bundle of shingles on each shoulder. And I would rather just sit down at the bottom and watch them work because it's like watching a ballet up there.
Right.
Yeah, those guys are fearless. I go up slow and very careful. Yep. So handyman and journals. What else you got going on? Or is that kind of consuming all your time right now?
No, kind of. Yeah, I fill my time with a lot. I still work full time too. So on top of that, so right now I'm working. Yeah, right now I'm working second shift. So my days are open, which is where I can squeeze in the handyman stuff and get that done during the day. But when I go back to day shift, it'll just be evenings and weekends that I'll be able to do that. And since that's not really full time right now, then that leaves everything else open. And like I said in the last podcast, we were working on getting our Amazon store back up. Well, we got everything set up for that. We actually got a handful of products we need to go buy and send in for FBA to start doing our testing on that. And then, of course, my eBay store, I'm just still constantly adding more stuff to eBay. And I'm seeing it's not just me. There's a lot of people that are experiencing a real slow season on eBay right now. So it's the time of year, I believe. It usually slows down in the spring. So.
Yeah, I don't list much on eBay, just a few collectibles here and there, and it's dropped, just the bottom dropped out of it.
Yep.
Yeah. Thinking about podcasts, have you looked to see if there's any handyman podcasts?
There is actually one that I've been listening to, and the guy does have a YouTube channel, and I don't know if I haven't really paid much attention to the podcast to see if he's actually doing something separate from the YouTube. It seems like the podcast is shorter than the YouTube ones he's doing, because when he's on YouTube, it's like over an hour long, and the podcasts are like 20, 30 minutes. So yeah, picking up a lot from him. And that's kind of where the membership idea came from, was one of those podcasts. He's kicking around because he's always kept track of his customers and, what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. He's just using it as a follow-up system, not necessarily a way to earn a little extra income. But thinking, hey, if I'm charging, $10 a month and got 100 people, well, that's, extra $1,000 a month right there. That's going to cover all of my overhead and my cost. And when I actually go out on a job, that's just going to be all profit minus parts. So,
yeah. That's cool. And the weird thing is, people might think, well, a handyman podcast, who in the world's going to listen to that? But there's like 300 or 400 TV shows on TV that are nothing but really handyman and flipping and all that. And people just nerd out over that stuff. And some of us guys, the stuff we nerd out over, just listening to, how many years did we listen to Bob Villa talking about how to do little things on a house?
That's what I was just saying. This old house right there was the original handyman podcast.
That was reality TV before reality TV,
right. Yeah, and the spinoff of that, Norm Abram and the old the New Yankee Workshop, man, I watched that every Saturday growing up with my dad, and so that was what got my interest in construction and woodworking to begin with. So I spent a lot of years doing that too. So
yeah, and the great thing is, a lot of people would listen to it and maybe try it and screw it up and call you, or just decide, I don't want to mess with this. I'm just going to call Chris.
Right.
This is a good idea. I'd rather let him do it.
Yep. And I'll be honest with people, when I go meet with them, I'll tell them straight up, like, I haven't really done this before. I mean, we can try it, but it might not work out the way you're planning. Or I just flat out tell them, I try not to say no. That's the big thing. Because, usually I'm not saying I'm at the bottom of the list. I'm just usually by the time somebody calls me, they've called 2 or 3 other people who said that they can't do it or it's too small or, yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's a good reputation you might get, though. The guy that, when nobody else can do it or nobody's willing, call Chris.
Well, that's actually how I started. I mean, I'm still amateur at this, but I've kind of started practicing with cabinet making because we have a situation in our kitchen where I moved the dishwasher to the other side of the kitchen where it made sense.
Yes.
It was across the kitchen opposite from the sink. So I put it next to the sink. But I had to take out a bank of drawers to do that and wanted to, have a cabinet built to put those drawers back in where I pulled the dishwasher out. And I don't know, called 3 or 4 different people who just said, it's a waste of time. You'd be better off just going and buying a new cabinet to stick in there. But ours are all custom built from the previous owner that lived here. So I can't just go buy a stock cabinet and stick it in there because it's still going to be gaps and they're still going to have to do other stuff I'm not going to be able to buy a matching one regardless of whether or not it fits. So that's kind of the big thing. So I've kind of started playing with that so I can, make my wife happy and put her drawers back in. And but that's kind of, the stuff I'm looking at is like everybody else has kind of said, no, you should just go do this. It'll be easier. And I'm like, it's not what I want though. So,
yeah. Yeah. And, if your customers are up for it, you could always, film some of this stuff and throw it up on YouTube. Like, hey, guess what I'm doing this week?
Right.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. I like all these updates, man, because it's just neat. I mean, you've not only started something new that we talked about, but already made some decent money with it.
Yeah, because I think last time I was still just trying to figure out exactly what direction I wanted to do and still kind of trying to figure out what direction I want to do. I just took action on everything and looking at today's date, and it's been just a little over a month since it was your birthday the last time we talked. So
that's right. Yeah.
So in just over a month, I've, made like a little over $1,000 just actually stepping up and taking action and reaching out to somebody and so it's all it takes.
Yep. And did you know John well before you guys started working together?
Actually, no, I met him through hadn't really met him until we started talking about this. And then he just kind of, I don't know if he intended it to be serious or not. He was like, hey, yeah, we could probably partner up and work together on some of this stuff. And it just kind of, we ran with that idea and that's where it took off from. But actually, we had a couple other connections and another group that I'm with, one of Ryan Rieger's other groups right now. And so one of the ladies in there has worked with him in the past and just saw that him and I kind of live near each other and told me, you should reach out to him. He's a really good guy. Some of the stuff you're thinking is some of the stuff he's done. And even though he primarily focuses on coaching pastors to have a second income, I'm not a pastor. So, but he was still more than willing to help out a guy who's, trying to get something going and work on his own. And just the benefit was him and I actually got to meet up face to face and go to lunch as opposed to always having to meet on Zoom. So,
yeah, that's cool. He once he gets a few contractors under his belt, he's going to have to maybe look at franchising his little handyman business.
Yep, and we talked a little bit about that idea too, because I know he's got a lot of people interested, but I'm like the only one that's really nearby, so that's kind of why it's kind of a weird hybrid what we're doing, because I have my business, he has his business, and then we're kind of intermingling services there, so yeah, we'll figure it out.
You be the guinea pig for his franchise.
Yeah, pretty much. So.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Anything else to report?
No, I think that's it.
So, yeah. Well, I'm excited about this, man.
Yeah, me too. Finally got some stuff going instead of just talking about it. And so, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you what, so I can tag it in the show notes and everything. What would you like for me to put down as like your service area or your website link, anything like that?
I am in Southeast South Dakota. So
Southeast South Dakota. Is that Rapid City area or is that different?
Nope, other side of the state. Rapid City's on the west side. We're on the east side. Okay. So about 8 hours away from there.
Okay, yeah, quite a ways then. Okay, Southeast South Dakota. And do you have a website yet?
Actually, I do now. Yeah. So it's going to be thechrispuckett.com. So
thechrispuckett.com. All right.
And
I like
right
that.
now it just has it's just got the coming soon page. I haven't really got it built up yet. I just bought the domain and got it fired up, but obviously try and spin off of that and have, links to the handyman business, as well as some of the maybe links to the eBay store and some of the other stuff I got going on. And
yeah.
So,
and a link to your membership and another page for your handyman journal, home maintenance journal.
Yeah, there you go. And hey, who knows? Maybe at some point this will, turn into coaching to somebody. So
yeah. Hey, I mean, there's been a lot of home service guys that have made that jump. You start doing the work, and then you kind of move yourself out of the hands-on stuff, and then more into the podcasting, coaching, helping other people get started.
So, and what's really funny is, I kind of threw out when John and I got together, I threw a big Facebook post out there, locally that him and I had teamed up, and, you can still call me directly, and, now I have a team behind me so we can do some bigger stuff. And right away, the first questions I got were like, did you quit your job? It's like, no, I'm still working my job. This is still the kind of, this is the side thing. It's not full time. We're still doing this part time. I still have my job. Don't have any intention of quitting it anytime soon.
You make people nervous, though, if you talk about quitting a W-2 job, because most people can't fathom that.
Well, and like I said in the last podcast, I have one of those nice state jobs. So, no, I have no intention of leaving that until my side incomes are making at least equal to or more than that. So, yep.
And just keep working on that retirement and, building this on the side, and then just transition right over.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the older I get, and I'm sure you're catching this, the older I get, I don't really feel like I'm that old. Like, 65 is only, 16 years down the road, and I don't see that I'm going to stop doing much of anything when I hit that point. So,
short of an injury or an illness, there's no reason to slow down.
Yeah, I mean, we both have similar mentors. I mean, Dan Miller was in his 80s? He's still going. So,
yeah. I mean, he worked up into like a week or two before he passed away.
Yeah.
No reason to retire. I mean, if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you love it, what would retirement be? I mean, quit doing what you love so you could sit around the house and watch TV, or?
Right.
I don't understand that.
I mean, let's say I've gone and sat on a beach, and I don't like the heat and humidity. I enjoy fishing a couple times out of the year, like when there's not a lot of bugs out yet, and the rest of the year it's just kind of a mess. So, I mean, I don't know what I would do for.
Yeah, I tried golfing once. It was just expensive, and I was not very good. So,
Yep. So,
all the normal old guy retirement things don't appeal to me.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I just love people look at me funny, like, "What are you gonna do for retirement?" I'm like, I think I'm already doing it. So, I mean,
I'm just going to do more of what I enjoy.
Right. Yeah, because like I said, I've worked a lot of jobs over the years, and one of the ones that, I worked heavy industrial construction, did some wind farms once upon a time, and we actually had a guy that was coming out fueling equipment, and he was 73 years old, and that was his company. Yeah. And somebody asked him why he was still doing it, and his only answer was, because I still can.
Yeah, I've heard some guys say, if I sat around the house all day, my wife would kill me.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm going to end up too. Yeah.
Hey, as we get ready to wrap up, did I ask you last time about your 3 resources question?
No, I don't believe you did.
Okay, so I started asking everybody this one now. If you could recommend 3 resources to somebody just to guide them in life, and of course the Bible's the obvious one, but beyond the Bible, like podcasts, people to follow, books to read, your top 3 resources for you, what would you recommend?
The first one is going to be, Dave Ramsey, anything, getting your money straight, getting out of debt, getting on a budget, being able to crack. You can't do anything if you're buried.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people don't believe getting 100% out of debt, that you still have to have credit, whatever, that's your personal belief, but you got to have some margin and you got to have some leeway. Yeah. I mean, you can't do any of this if you don't have any extra money. Yeah. Because you got to have something to start with.
And if you're always stressed out about money.
Yeah. And customers can smell depression on you, or desperation, I mean. So,
yeah.
If you're,
like it sweats out.
Yeah, like they know the guy who's kind of like, nonchalant, like you can get it done, no problem, take a couple days. And then you get the other guy that's in there like, yeah, I really need this job. I can do it for half of whatever he said, and I'll start like tomorrow.
Yeah. So. By the way, can I have a deposit so I can have some gas money to get home?
Yep. So anyway, yeah, we kind of rabbit trailed off that, but yeah, so just Dave Ramsey's the one big one because we followed his principles for a long time. And I mean, we kind of fluctuated a little bit. We've had to, go into debt a little bit here and there. But either way, we've kept it under control and still maintain the budget, know where the money's going, know what's coming in, going out. Let's see, what else? Getting in with any like mastermind group, just general group. Right now, Ryan Rieger's group, Unleashed. I don't have a link for that one right now. Maybe, I know you know him. Maybe you can get a link from him.
Yeah, I'll throw one in the show notes.
So, but that's a really good Christian-based business group right now, and that's actually where I ended up. I didn't meet John in that group, but I met him connected through other people that were in that group that told me to go find him.
Yeah.
So just getting out, meeting people, working with like-minded people, and that's where the benefit comes in there. Yeah. So again, it doesn't have to be Unleashed, but any. And for a third one, I don't really have one specific podcast. I mean, so your podcast, The Streams of Income, things just fall out of my head right now. I can't think of his name. Don Miller.
Oh, the Story Brand?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. I think Don Miller is one that has come up several times with this question.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, learning how to tell your story and work your story. And that's actually the tagline that's on my, holding page right now for my website is, your journey is the story. So what path are you taking next?
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, in terms of podcasts, do you know the story about where this podcast came from?
Do not actually.
So this is actually Ryan Rieger's old podcast. But
right, I knew that much. Yeah,
he gave all this to me when he started Unleashed. So
okay,
yeah, deep connection with Ryan Rieger. As a matter of fact, the very first episode was me being on the Unleashed one of the calls.
Okay, yeah. Actually, because some of the ideas that I actually came up with I was on that call that night for that meeting. So yeah. Which is what inspired me to reach out to you, because at that point you seemed a little less intimidating and a little bit more personal. So,
I've got a look that little kids cross the other side of the street when they see me coming down the street, kind of thing. My goal was to be an outlaw biker in a movie or something.
Well, you might still get there. I mean,
yeah. No, actually, I've got I'm going to get a trim, but I've got a beard contest coming up in a couple of weeks that I'm the MC for. And so I figured I'd just let it grow out so I look good for the judge's role.
Nice. Yeah, mine's not quite there yet. So
mine's more white than it used to be, though.
I've let mine grow out a couple times in the past, but I got this little white patch here that actually started in my 20s, and it, for whatever reason, it outgrows everything else. So I end up being lopsided. So I got to keep it.
Yeah, you can't have that with customers.
Yeah, you just kind of look weird, but I already look weird to begin with. Hey, since you brought up movies, one thing I did want to ask, the UCG videos that you're doing.
Yeah.
So I hopped into Fiverr, tried to set up an account, trying to look for, Fiverr has changed since the last time I used it. You can't just go in and look for gigs. So, trying to navigate that and kind of learn that area too. So I don't know if you have any direction to point for that or.
No, anytime I need something on Fiverr, and every now and then I'll search mine up too, just to see what pops up. Just the search bar. Yeah, it's not as easy to do the categories the way you used to. So I generally just hit the search bar, and then I'll narrow it down by top reviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still trying to learn.
Yeah, most of my UGC work is still through Fiverr. Matter of fact, as soon as we're off the call, I've got a few deadlines I've got to hit early this week.
Nice. So, yeah, if I'm going to be sitting in front of a screen, just try some other stuff, right? So.
Yeah, yep. And the thing is, you and I, there's a niche for guys our age. Most of my video, the one I've got to do right after this call is for dad bod shirts.
Nice.
And, I don't I don't wear one personally, but I don't mind doing the ads for them. But it's like shirts that help suck your gut in, that kind of thing. And
Sure.
so you wear that for an undershirt. Yeah, but
I think I've seen a few of those. Yeah, I definitely would resemble that. Yeah.
They pay well, and I'm the right demographic for it.
Nice. So.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, man. We'll go ahead and close out, but I appreciate you coming in with the update. And like I said, this one will be released back to back with the other one. That way people can see the change.
Nice. Perfect.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the time.